This is Suo. Thank you for watching my video. Also, you can catch me on these social media platforms. And if you want to see some great, my DeviantArt art page up. And finally, support my Patreon. Thanks.
Here I am talking without even knowing that I'm muted. So, first of all, I want to thank everybody who's watched. And if you haven't seen an episode of the Half-Ass Show, I want to say go back and watch all the episodes. I've been having fun a little bit more with YouTube lately, or streaming in general, because I'm able to reach so many different platforms. And it's been pretty fun. But what I want to actually do is, I don't know, I just been having fun. I just been like trying to do a couple of different things, and well, quite frankly, just talking about a couple of different subjects. And as you can probably see, I'm doing changing of a lot of different thumbnails and stuff like that. So I just want to actually get to, just having fun. I'm actually going to be talking about Professor Wolf is part of it, and then I'm gonna go to something that's kind of pissed me off last stream, but let's get to it. So the first thing, this is the reason why I love Professor Wolf, because so many years ago I saw this fucking movie by Lewis Black, and you'll understand why I say I like Professor Wolf so much. So let's watch this clip. Hopefully I don't get a strike. But let's go. Oh, forgot to turn the sound up.
You know, a lot of people say that college is the time when young men and women expand the way that they look at their world, when they open their minds to new ideas and experiences, and when they begin that long journey from the innocence of youth to the responsibilities of adulthood.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say about college. And this is fuck. Let's hear the shit.
Now, isn't that a load of horse shit?
Exactly. It's fucking exactly.
What?
Could you explain that to us a little more?
Dean Lewis, why don't you tell them a little...
Now, this is the shit that people have bought into about college, and I am in no means disrespecting higher education, because motherfuckers really need it. But college as a fucking business, needs to be fucking revamped. If it is imperative that we have fucking college in order to better our society, why is it a fucking business? But let's let Lewis Black explain this shit.
A little bit about the philosophy here at South Harmon.
Look, we throw a lot of fancy words in front of these kids in order to attract them to going to school in the belief that they're going to have a better life. And we all know that all we're doing is breeding a whole new generation of buyers and sellers, pimps and whores, and indoctrinating them into a lifelong hell of debt and indecision.
Shit! This is why I love Lewis Black. This is why I fucking love this man. Now, he's being exaggerated with his mannerisms. But fuck student loan debt. Fuck that student loan debt in particular. But let's continue.
I don't I just don't understand.
Do I have to spoon feed it to you? Look, there's only one reason the kids want to go to school.
All right. So here's the thing: we have been so indoctrinated by technocrats that says you have to go to college in order to get, and that is fine. Fuck it, make it free. Make it, if it is integral to having a good fucking life, make it fucking free or make it fucking affordable. Because when you can't, you fuck everybody over, all in order to make sure that Wall Street gets their money. But let's continue.
Holy shit.
Which is?
To get a good job. To get a good job with a great starting salary.
So I play this, like I said, it's not to disrespect the next person that I'm gonna actually bring up, but this fucking movie is from 2006, 2006. And the shit hasn't changed. The shit has gotten worse. Speaking of college debt and college forgiveness and being in debt, let's go to our old friend Richard Wolff.
So my first comment as an economist answers the question, is this a feasible way of going about the problem? There the answer is an unqualified yes, of course.
Now, this is actually in the middle of a broadcast from talking about Bernie Sanders' the student debt forgiveness plan. And I don't know, it may be something, those looks like no, they're different. And I may have just been watching it earlier. But yeah. Fuck. Let's go. So I may have been watching it earlier, and we're gonna go for it. And he's talking about Bernie Sanders' student loan forgiveness, the debt forgiveness. And you know what? Oh, let me see if I can actually pull it up. I'm sorry, guys. God damn it. This is the shit that we put up with. This is the shit that we put up with because we're told certain shit. Oh wow. Yeah. I know some of my news feed is one of the craziest shit that I ever seen, but let's go. Hope this ain't lagging too much, but good. Fuck. Where did I see that at? I liked it earlier today. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just looking up some shit, and definitely. Thank you for the patience. Hold on. Yeah, I should have hit this up, but I just am looking for it. I'm sorry, guys. I just hit this shit up earlier, and I did just thinking about this shit made me think about it. Just watching this shit made me think about it because I was just looking for videos for us to actually talk about today. Fuck. Let's see if I can actually go to this page. I wish I would have saved it. Because it was just here it goes. So yeah, let me actually put this right here. Let me just put that up. So this is shit is just ironic. I graduated from college 8 years ago today. I was 28 and I refused to go into debt for college. So I joined the military and I kept my grades up and took care of me. Cancel student debt is a slap in the face. Is a slap in the face to many like me. And this motherfucker came back very, very, very great. Imagine thinking I had to enter a situation where I potentially would have died or maybe would have had to kill others so I wouldn't go into crippling debt for just an education. This is a good argument to help maintain the system. This that shit that I talk about. This that shit where it's just like because status quo. Fuck that. Fuck that. So let's go ahead and talk about student debt forgiveness.
Is this doable? Yes. Would it solve the problem? Absolutely. Let's take a look. One of the questions raised about it is, oh my goodness, this is going to impact the economy because money that is now in the hands of stockbrokers and bankers and all of the people who speculate on Wall Street, they won't have this money.
Let me start gaming.
Yes, that's true. They won't. But on the other hand, 50 to 100 million Americans who have no longer a student debt problem will be able to use the money they used to pay in their regular monthly payments on student debt to buy goods and services. So,
okay, some of us aren't exactly current on our student debt because we're so crushed with other debt that it may help our credit score. But let's continue.
so the loss to one part of the economy is offset by the gain to another part. This is simple economics and ought not to be forgotten. Here's another way of saying the same thing. You're taking away money from the top, so it doesn't trickle down. But you're giving an economic boost to the average American who has a student debt.
Damn it, you are fucking right. Yes. Let's take them. And I am not okay. I may have joked before about eating the rich and they have designed a defendable position, but when you actually and this is something that is going to get me riled up and pissed off. When you actually take it and you actually think, how do I help the smaller people versus putting money in the pocket of Wall Street? But let's continue.
And that's money going to be spent by that person no longer on paying that debt, but on buying goods and services. That's money you might call trickling up. And the trickle up offsets the trickle down. So if you want to argue about the student debt, let's be honest. It is a program, not surprisingly coming from a socialist like Bernie Sanders, that's good for the average American.
So, and this is the thing. People, like, Bernie Sanders isn't running away from the term socialist. He's not. Here's a newsflash. If you're in the USA and you take advantage of fire departments and fucking police officers in the road and protected by the military, you do some socialist shit. I am so tired of people actually saying socialism never works. But it works for the fire department. It works for the police. Well, I guess not the police because, you know, they are killing people and are being extra nice to the rich. But still, it works for you in those situations, but it won't work for healthcare or college where you see it's a necessity. No, we have to have a profit model in there. And not for research and development, no, to make sure that when you get sick, you're not screwed over. But let's continue.
Vast majority who either have student debt or face the burden of student debt if they want to help their kids get a college education. It helps them at the price of the 1% or the 5% at the top. One side benefits, the other side loses some. That just corrects what's been going on the last 40 years where the reverse has gone on. Or, to take a more recent example, the tax cut back in December of 2017 that enormously boosted the top, arguing that it would trickle down, which it didn't, rather than help the bottom, which is why Bernie and the others supporting his bill say, we bailed out, the people did, Wall Street.
All right, so, and this brings up a key point. The tax cuts in December didn't help anyone but the rich. You know what they said? Well, if we give it to the rich, they're gonna go and invest it into their employees. No, they fucking didn't. You know what they invested it into? Them, their, their own fucking selves. That's what they invested it into. They said, "Hey, tax cuts are a good thing because they make sure working people are covered." And no, they didn't. People just reinvested in the company to get more stock. That's what the fuck happened. And the fact is, the tax cuts weren't even all that popular. They were determined to be super unfucking popular. You know what, they were 17% when they passed. And this is what I don't get about Democrats. The motherfucking Democratic Party, not the progressives, not the Justice Democrats. Well, Medicare for All polls at 60%. If you can't get shit passed with 60% when Republicans push through something with 17%, get the fuck out the way. But let's continue.
Back in 2008, 9, and 10, it's time for Wall Street to bail out the American student. So is it economically feasible? Sure it is. But here's something to think about, because there are questions. First, what's the economics here? It's simple. You don't pay enough in America to the average family to pay for their college education for their kids. That's the problem. At the same time that you don't give people enough income, you charge more for education than they can afford, so they end up having to borrow if they're going to get the education.
So, and this goes back to that previous clip with Lewis Black. Like, quite literally, you're fucking people over to make a fucking buck. Have you no fucking shame, sir? Have you no shame? Is it really about how you can make money? Is that what this really is about? You making money. You actually trying to hedge your bets about, getting your wealth. But everybody else, screw you? How fucking sorry is that? And I'm running around, guys, because I actually need to, one, get my dragon back. Follow. And I need to actually go get some more gold and silver coins because I want to actually make a better... I'm going north, so I need some better armor. And I need time for my slaver thrall to cook. Because that would actually cause this shit to speed up. But let's continue.
The solution to the problem is not to create these conditions. Even if you forgive the existing date, you're not changing the conditions, which is why many countries, Germany, France, Italy, Finland, many countries in Europe, charge next to nothing for higher education. I'm talking $200 or $300 a semester covers it. There is a political problem here. There's also the question of other debts. We don't pay people enough to cover the cost of their home, their car. That's why they go into debt for those things. If you want to really deal with this problem, you've got to change who gets paid what and what.
And so this is another great thing about this. And I think I just need to go... What do I need? I need Mitra stuff. So let's see what I need from Mitra. Because I'm going to actually go harvesting a lot of shit right about now. Because I got a Mitra High Priest actually cooking. Oh, that's going to be awesome. But, a level 4 High Priest. How many do I have and how much do I need to upgrade? Oh, I can't upgrade it yet. God damn it. Attributes. But yeah, most people aren't getting enough. Oh, I upgraded it to that. So I need some set shit. Most people aren't getting paid enough to cover the debts that they owed and other great shit like that. Most people are barely making it. And that's sad. It's sad that we're in a position where you're in debt for your car, your home, your everything you're in debt for. And people actually think it's okay. Newsflash, it ain't okay. But let's continue.
Costs what? Or else the debt is always going to come. And you're going to have those angry people with home debt and car debt and credit card debt asking, why help the students and not me? Good for the students, but I want my debts relieved too. And the same economics would apply. Look, it's a fundamental system that has to change. These are systemic problems. Those that led to slavery and those within capitalism that lead to unbearable and unsustainable debt. The system is the problem, and system change is the answer.
All right, so cool. And you know what? I get pissed. I will get noticeably pissed at people who say that, well, people set themselves up for failure, and because they felt their life, that's the reason why they have. So it's their fault, which is fucking awful. It is quite literally awful because most people seem to think that because people can't play well in the system that we have created right now, then they're terrible people. The fuck is wrong with you people? Like, quite literally, that's like saying, well, because you're not playing by our rules all the time, then it's something wrong with you, versus maybe we need to revamp how we look at the rules. But let's continue to, and I got to be careful with this clip because there is music playing, but this is also like, this is the reason why, like, you saw Professor Wolf's like mannerism, but this is one of the reasons why I fucking love it. So let's watch this.
Pay only.
And we're gonna actually get to it. Give me a second. Once this ad stops playing. So, come on. Let's see where it's at. Where is it at? I'm keeping it mute for a reason. All right, so
Taxes. I'll tell you about that nonsense. If you're rich, the government will protect every buck you
Yeah.
make and every shit you take.
So yeah, like, this is why I love this fucking movie, because high schoolers start a fucking they start a fucking fake ass high school because they didn't get accepted into what they wanted to get accepted to. And like, yeah, like, these little monologues that he has throughout the whole movie are fucking awesome. So
Insurance my ass. They don't pay for shit. You get sick on a Friday, they only pay for Monday through Thursday. You go to Dr. A, they only pay for Dr. B. You break your penis, they only fix vagina.
And this shit is awesome. This shit is awesome, and this is why we need to fucking revamp the system, because this should not be a reflection of what the system that we have now in a fucking parody movie. Speaking of parodies, let's get to this. Let's get to this debate. And let's talk about this. So we're going to be going over this, and this is the VOD. The cool kids call it the VOD and all that other good shit. So let's actually look at this and see how we're going to have this discussion. So here we go.
Hey, what's up?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
All right. So yeah, this is a breakdown discussion of Destiny talking with Michael Brooks. And Michael Brooks is hardcore socialist. I'm not even gonna lie about that. He is hardcore socialist, and he goes farther than what I would actually say. But you know what? You need people like this, and it's the same thing that I had my issues with Hassan Piker about. Like, these hardcore, like, change the system. Never lose that passion, dog, because just like with the civil rights movement, if you don't have the fucking passionate people on the ends, then you get the idiots who don't want to do shit in the middle. So let's just have to happen.
I'm fucking exhausted, to be honest with you. Oh, can I swear on Twitch? Because we can't swear on YouTube anymore.
You can swear, just no racial slurs or any of that crazy brocialist stuff I know you guys are so fond of. But no, as long as you don't have any like
That's, by the way, if you branded my show somehow as using a bunch of racial
no,
slurs,
I'm just messing with you. Don't worry.
It's the most brilliant out of the gate move you could do.
I would never do that to you guys. Yeah, no, but as long as there's like no racial slurs or anything like that, like we're fine. I wouldn't expect you to, but yeah, that's general.
All right, and I actually have it sped up just a little bit. So, like, I don't want to get into trouble with the fucking copyright shit and all that other good shit, but I have it sped up just a little bit. So, let's let them go.
I don't anticipate any of those. Are we live now?
Yeah, I'm live on my channel now.
Hi, everybody.
All right. So I'm a big fan of yours. We've almost talked in the past, but then I think we just kind of missed connecting in a while. I'm generally a pretty big fan of what goes on with your show, and everything you and Sam Cedar talk about. I think my favorite conversation I've heard of you is you on Sargon of Akkad, the regressive left. That conversation was a lot of fun. And yeah, so you're here today probably because a lot of mutuals are poking the fuck out of you guys because a lot of people get mad at my Twitter stuff. And somehow we ended up on discussing the TPP, which I imagine will broaden out to our general ideas about like neoliberalism or protectionist trade policy or something around those lines, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I also just want to, I'm just curious. I mean, I'm assuming, do you have like familiarity with my work on both shows? Maybe TMDS might be a little bit more where there's like some sort of more clear divergences, possibly just in terms of topic selection.
All right, so Michael Brooks did branch off and start his own show, TMBS, where he talks about, he's hardcore, like, yeah, let's change the fucking system. Which, again, is one of those things where I think that is very beneficial to have those people on the edges to, like, quite literally, it worked for the Tea Party. It worked for the Tea Party. You had the people on the edges, and you actually saw change where the Republican Party was effectively swallowed up by the Tea Party, and it led to changes in the better. Oh, damn it, dog, damn it. I probably couldn't use them because I don't have a place for them on a wheel, but all right, let's continue.
I'm familiar with you because I get linked a bunch of stuff, but I mean, I'm sure you know it's impossible to listen to keep up with anybody else's show. It's so much time, yeah. But like, I mean, my general idea of you is that you would be I think a democratic socialist at least, like somebody left leaning more than like a sock dem, and that all of your views kind of line up where I would expect to for that, like anti-imperialist, pro-worker, stuff like that.
All right, so yeah, this is just basically going over where people's positions are and just having that conversation. Now, mind you, one of the things that I don't like, and maybe it's just posturing after the fact, is when somebody dominates the debate to make themselves feel better. Somebody would come on afterwards and be like, well, no, I know what was going on. Without just admitting, like, dude, like, they dominated the debate. And, you know, shit happens. But let's let this keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe you know, if this is productive, maybe we'll have more conversations / debates or whatever. Because let me just say how I kind of perceive like why we're here too. And one is that my impression of you has definitely been positive, and and it's been funny because it's been mutuals who several months ago were like, oh yeah, like you guys are both great, and you know, you'll have some disagreements, but you guys should team up to destroy X, Y, or Z person. Yeah. And in the last couple of weeks, it's been like, no, you gotta like, you know, hold this guy in check or whatever. And I guess what I'm honestly trying to figure out is, so I feel like there's three things going on with what you're putting out. I'm trying to think of, because I'm just a value neutral way of saying it. So like one is, I think that you are reacting to certain annoying social media habits that you might associate with a certain ideological tendency, right? And so for me, first of all, I think that is true of every single ideological tendency.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a problem of social media. It's a problem of kind of brand creation. And maybe we could have some ideas together, some strategies for generally making that whole environment better. But I'm just not terribly interested in those kind of arguments, I guess partially because, I mean, to be honest, partially one is because one of the things that I do, and I don't really cover much stuff like that, but to some extent on TMBS, like there is a little bit of like hey guys, let's actually, let's be more strategic and more thoughtful about how we promote, the politics we want, essentially. Let's be a little bit more thoughtful about reaching a broader audience, right? So even like what you said before, pro-worker and anti-imperialist, 100%. And then there's like, there's like a certain type of like trivial discourse version of that, which I wouldn't want to be associated with. Just like I'm sure you wouldn't want to be associated with like some totally brain dead, like, oh, like some economist said it.
So, and I get the whole distinction of exactly what's going on and what's being said in this whole part of the discussion, because it's not a debate yet. It's again just laying out. I wouldn't say posturing versus just saying where somebody lands. I would say that versus actual, posturing to say, well, this is my position and I'm not moving from it. But it's really just that whole, this is where can we find points of disagreement. So let's continue.
It has to be true, or some type of like IDW, like adjacent, just sort of like ahistorical nerdery. So I feel like but part of what I feel like is going on is that you're reacting to some things that can be frustrating, can even be misleading at times, but maybe you're falling into, and this is a danger that we all get into. I know, no doubt, I do this on Twitter, but like someone like Nate Silver is doing that same thing for a different team, right? Like he's very shaky on his poll methodology right now. He's extremely ideologically motivated, and he's got an axe to grind against certain, one particular candidate. It happens to be Bernie Sanders. But I mean, I'll end in a second, but I just want to say as an example, I'm someone who said out of the gate, if you ask me ideologically and programmatically, what do I think of Joe Biden? I am, his absolute ideological opposite. But I also think that a lot of people are underestimating the resiliency of his appeal. So we shouldn't confuse objective and subjective is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think I agree.
All right, so I won't say this, Michael Brooks. Dude can fucking talk. Like, quite literally, he has to compete with Sam Cedar about talk time in a fucking he competes with Sam Cedar with talk time. Like, dude can fucking talk. I will not take that shit away from him. So yeah, motherfucker can talk. And damn it, that was about 5 minutes. That quite literally was about 5 minutes of talking. But let's let him continue.
And I guess yeah. Okay, yeah. So and then I think like the next
before going through all three, just to respond really quickly.
Go.
So yeah, definitely I react to positions that people take on social media. I think it's somewhat understandable considering that's kind of my life exists in this space. I do agree that you have to be careful that reacting to social media or reacting to toxic fan bases is one thing, but you can't let your reactions define your ideology. And that even though it doesn't come off that way sometimes, like that is, I'm very mindful of that. I'm like, it's not like I'm sure you've heard the person like, I used to be in favor of Democrats or something, but then I heard this one guy was an SJW and now I'm literally anti-immigration, anti-black people. It's like, what? Yeah, I would never let I don't let people.
I saw some annoying person trying to like cancel Dave Chappelle, and now I support kidnapping children.
Yeah, or letting them die at the border. Yeah. So yeah, I try not to define my personal beliefs. Like I'm pro universal healthcare. I'm pro immigration. I'm pro LGBT rights. So sometimes I think people get that impression of me that I'll get really annoyed with certain progressives on Twitter because those tend to be the loudest right now, especially the Chapo Trap House flavor of like.
So one of the key things that is kind of so maybe I've seen debates with him, so I'm not even going to be, I don't feel I'll be misrepresenting him. Being for universal health care, that means everybody has the ability to be covered. Great. We can basically say we have universal health care. Now, universal and affordable universal health care, or I don't know, Medicare for all, are still two very different things. You can say everybody has the ability to be a fucking millionaire, but if you can't actually go to your bank and pull out a fucking $1 million, are you really a millionaire at that time? No, you're not. You're just somebody who can be a millionaire. And that's like, that's one of the things that I find a little bit misleading. That's definitely something I find a little bit misleading, because you're not saying that you are something, it's saying that you can be. And can be and are two very fucking different things. Hold on, guys. All right, guys. I'm sorry about that. Um, Tomorrow is my daughter's first day at school. She's actually being coming into seventh grade, so it's certain shit you gotta take care of. Just coordinating with her mother about it. So yeah, let's go ahead and finish dissecting this video.
Like lefty kind of people. But it gets a little annoying when I react to people like this, and then I get the, oh, well, now you're a conservative. And it's like, I don't think that's how that works, but okay.
Well, I don't think, yeah, and I don't read you as a conservative, but as I say, I did mention Nate Silver because I do think you are potentially like, and I just want, I have to just do the disclaimer that when you say Chapo, like obviously, I'm friendly with some of the guys on the show. It's a very diverse fan base, and their content which I don't keep up with all of it because we can't keep up with all content. So that's just the truth. But they're smart guys and everything else.
Yeah,
but it's like,
to be very clear, I'm only referring to the subreddit, not the actual, not the podcast.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
And I gotta be honest, there's gonna be some of these areas like, and this is one of the reasons I said like, kind of to avoid social media drama, because it's like, I don't know.
For sure.
I'm not on subreddits.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Oh my god, and I would have to agree that there are some parts of a fan base or certain parts of, like, you can't speak for all all your fucking fans. Like, I find that very highly annoying where people are. Let me choose my words carefully. I find it annoying when people are actually crucified by their fans. But I also find that if you're a platform, if you're an idea leader, then you actually have a responsibility of making sure that your fans are responsible. I don't know. I guess the best way of saying it is that you have a responsibility of making sure your fans are. Make sure you don't cultivate a toxic fan base. That's the best way to describe it. But let's continue.
It's not. It's I mean, in fact, if one of the like subliminal messages of my show in particular is like, let's translate this into real shit. I mean, that's one of the reasons I really do admire Bernie Sanders and the campaign so much, right? I think regardless of where you fall on the policy set, that is a serious presidential campaign of really committed people who have serious visions across the board, right?
Yeah, kitchen table issues, right? Yeah.
Kitchen table, but also global, and even also, on civil rights, right? Like but it's a policy set, and it's a, it's a serious effort. So the next two things that I think are like, okay, and then maybe, and this could lead into trade, is one is like, are you saying at times like, well, actually, let me stick with the flowing out of this sort of like reaction economy. Are you saying like
I can use another taskmaster?
When you tell people like the such and such policy isn't as popular as you may think, as an example, are you suggesting that, like, I guess this is where it gets really complicated. I just want to be clear with you, and I'm sorry that I'm fumbling here.
Yeah,
but are you saying that do you actually support, let's just get to TPP. Do you support TPP as it is currently constituted and written with no modifications, no changes, no understanding of the subtleties of the problems, which we can get into? Or are you saying, hey, people who are laymen should just outsource their opinions to so-called experts? So like if certain economists say it's a good deal, we should do it. Or three, are you saying you guys don't understand how popular this is with the general public? Because those are three really different positions. So I just want to be kind of clear generally of what I'm sort of, where you're coming from.
Okay, so at least he didn't give him a false dichotomy, which is actually good. It's not a false dichotomy at all. It's just more along the lines of, hey, what are your positions about this? And I'm about to run all the way back with this fucking thrall. And let's see if I drop this shit. And I'm going to actually get my minion to follow me. But first, I'm going to kill this bastard.
It wasn't supposed to be like this.
No, it wasn't. Fucking piece of shit. Alright, so. Give me some brimstone and probably come back and. Alright. Just get as much brimstone as I can right now. Because I fucking need brimstone. And this straw is not going to wake up anytime soon. So. And my base is not that far. So they switched to the TPP topic. And that's what the real crux of the conversation is about. Now, if you don't know, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the trade agreement it was a bad fucking deal. And I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't read the full thing of it, but when you have motherfuckers like Trump winning because they want to get rid of trade deals, then people don't like that shit. And this whole thing of, well, and you'll hear some of the discussion, and maybe you'll hear it later, but Destiny is a free trade globalist. And globalism is the last dying trick of capitalism in order to make sure that we're making money somewhere, free from the broken out markets that you would have actually seen, the nationalized markets, and not nationalistic but nationalized, where it's closed national markets that you saw that led to high inflation. Capitalists wanted to make money some kind of way, and they did that by globalizing. And not to say globalization isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it led to certain things, like a PlayStation fucking 4 that I'm playing with right now. Yeah, it led to some great, awesome things, but it also led to some bad shit. Led to a lot of bad shit. So, good thing is, well, people in China are able to be lifted out of poverty, which is great. And, a rising tide lifts all boats. But it took away from the middle class. Because remember, the jobs went from the north to China. Then they went out of the country. And that's what happened. That's what a lot of people fail to realize. They went to less and less regulation, to the point where, yes, it was good for all these third world countries. And that's fucking great. And I would never take that away from them. But it also left corporations to screw over people that helped build them, all in the chase to get that lovely, lovely dollar, that lean, green, mean machine. But let's continue.
Yeah, hold on, let me write these down so I'm not losing track of these. Okay, so just kind of like disentangling a couple of these and then looking at some of these. So sometimes I talk about things where I say this policy isn't as popular as you may think, and people hear me say that and they might think like, oh, well, you hate universal healthcare or something. So something that I push back on a lot, and this is kind of like a frustration that I had in 2016. My biggest frustration with the Bernie math or whatever, like that type of thinking, wasn't that like I hate Bernie and I hate Bernie bros and Hillary's the queen is going to take over. It was more just like, hey, I don't think we have a realistic assessment of where the electorate is right now, and man, it's going to be real shocking when our candidate gets steamrolled because nobody knows what's going on. And sometimes I see people get a little bit too lost in their own circle jerks, where they say things like, oh, Medicare for all with all private insurance removed, that's like 88% popular with the American people. And it's like, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I think that removing private insurance when you're going to cover like vision and dental, you're going to get a lot of pushback on that, and that's something to consider. Not saying that I don't approve of that. Obviously, single payer.
So this is the shit that kind of pisses me off. You're not getting rid of the person's doctor. You're getting rid of private insurance of how we pay for it. It's not saying that, oh, you can't see your doctor that you love to go to. No. It's going to say that, hey, we're going to have a different modeling system of paying these doctors. Why is that such a big fucking deal? I know why it's a big fucking deal. Because it hurts people's idea, their bottom line. And so they're going to say shit to make it seem terrible. But let's continue.
Or multi-payer would be infinitely better than what we have now, but I think it's good to be kind of aware of where the general opinions are for these types of issues. Sorry, go on.
So do you think, that's interesting, right? Because, and I don't want to retread ground you did with Mike yesterday.
Sure.
And it's honest, I watched some of it, and I mean, Mike and I's read of the electorate based off of the empirical data and what I've been saying for years. Like, this is something you could definitely see any number of videos where, as an example, I'll say, okay, guys, like, there's sort of three facets of the electorate. And one is that so-called moderate voters are the absolute opposite of what your average pundit will call them on CNN, right? That's empirically true. So-called moderate voters, I'm sure, are probably somewhere to the right of you and me on so-called social issues. And they are very much in the ballpark on economic issues, whether we're talking about trade or wage increases. And then there's a middle circle in politics, which makes these debates really hard, but it's inescapable, which does have to do with, like, yes, how you ask a question in a poll does matter. If you poll people and you say, Government is going to take care of it. Your tax increases will be lower than your premiums, and every single thing is covered with no bullshit. And all of the most successful programs in the world do this. Yes, it does have off the charts approval ratings. If you go to them and you say it's going to take away your healthcare plan, and we don't know what replaces it next. Yes, that's going to freak people out and change the results. So I feel like the debate, like pointing out how a poll number is, how a poll question is phrased, is really only useful if you are either debunking a pure partisan talking point or you're trying to devise a campaign strategy. Like I think for conversations like this, if you and I both generally agree that, like, say all things being equal, there's a consistent trend that shows most Democrats support single payer, there's a plurality of independents, and a surprising amount of Republicans. And the reason that you might want to not just have it be pure single payer has actually more to do with actual policy issues and the efficacy of the implementation, which I'm happy to get to some other time, but that's a different question than the polling.
Yeah, I agree.
So could we kind of be on the same page?
Yeah,
on
I definitely
that?
agree with that. I just think it's good to have an understanding of where people are so that you don't get too lost. So like for instance, because anytime I have a conversation on stream, if I say something that's wrong, I'm gonna get 20 people emailing me like why. And one of the impressions that I'd had, and just because I don't research every single point I'm talking about, sometimes I take things for granted. I've heard this a lot. I kind of assume, for instance, like, oh, a lot of Americans hate their healthcare. I mean, our healthcare outcomes are worse than other countries. I know that. We spend more on healthcare than any other country in the world. I know that. So it makes sense to me that Americans hate their healthcare. But then I get linked to a whole bunch of like KFF health polling and stuff, and it's like, oh shit, 80% of Americans are happy with their private insurance. I had no idea about any of this, and now it's like, oh fuck, like maybe I need to reconsider like how the average person views an issue, because it's part of my job as like a public speaker is to understand how people engage with these issues rather than just kind of preaching to an audience that already agrees with everything I say.
Okay, great. So, the exchange right here actually is fucking awesome because it's denotes like, yeah, maybe we need to look at how we're fucking purge. Maybe we need to actually look and see how we're talking about, different things, different systems. But again, Michael made a good point where he actually says, hey, geniuses, it's about how you fucking phrase the question. Because if you phrase the question, fuck, I need 10. If you fucking phrase the question like it's going to be an issue with you getting healthcare and we don't know what's going to replace that healthcare system, then you're screwing people over. You're quite literally making them feel like, well, I don't know, and we need to actually see, and oh my god, you may lose really, really big. And that scares the shit out of people. Uncertainty, just look at the Wall Street people when they're uncertain about something. They're ready to motherfucking bail to the next motherfucking to the next safest asset, because uncertainty for humans is a big fucking thing. But let's let this go.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really good instinct. And I think in general, again, I think it's a part of the problem of the economy of social media is that reaction cycle. Now, the dialectic of it is, on the other hand, people put out a huge amount of lies and bullshit, and it's good to call them on it. So, but I guess generally what so even like if you framed it, and I'm not telling you what to say, obviously, but I do think honestly, like if I'm understanding you correctly out of this conversation, this would get a radically different reaction from probably like 90% of the people you're dealing with. And then maybe the people that would still go at you are just like, whatever, fuck them, right?
Sure.
If you said like, you know what, I think that, yes, if you poll this in any way fairly, Medicare for all is actually the most popular option that we have that is pollable. However, if you inject other variables into it, it could scare people because, as an example, and this is actually to me is another great reason for having Medicare for all. Like, yeah.
So yes, again, repeating the same thing, that sometimes how you ask a question, it really can fuck you over. But let's continue.
Yes, Americans are fucking petrified about anything happening to their healthcare. I mean, that's one of the reasons that John Delaney really did disgust people so much, right? Is because he was distorting the policy efficacy and really misleading people on the technocratic aspect, on the technical aspects of it. But he's cueing people's terror about their healthcare, which is totally justified. And I can tell you, as somebody who, like, I've had years without healthcare, I've seen people struggle with various forms of this and that. So if you said, like, this is the right policy, insofar as I could see, it does poll well, But let's also be really thoughtful on the horizon about how it's going to be propagandized and campaigned against, and not be complacent.
Yeah.
That's just an absolutely correct and true statement. And anybody that would object to that would be being ridiculous. I think the objection is when it's like, oh, now it's, you know what it is? It's almost, again, that's why I use the Nate Silver example. It's like, oh, wait a second, Destiny's a smart guy. Now he's carrying water for the opposite propaganda base. Because, to be honest with you, it's not as prevalent today on social media, obviously. But there's a whole infrastructure of John Delaney's who are giving you the same hysterical half-truths, except they're in fact promoting a policy that is on net going to leave millions of people without healthcare or underinsured.
Sure. Yeah. I don't think I disagree with anything.
So, okay, cool. And this is the thing with Michael. He's writing a fucking book about this politics and how politics are fucking presented. And yeah. And if you let him go, he's gonna go for it. He's gonna keep going, and he's gonna push that part down your motherfucking throat. So what are you gonna do about it? And it's funny because it's just railroading in. Like, we're gonna get to the video probably Thursday. I gotta watch Monty and Hannibal's show tomorrow. I know I try to watch it during the weekdays. I'll try to watch it while it's live. So if you ever haven't, it's Hannibal and Monty's shit show. Go look up their channel. It's actually pretty fun to watch. But damn it, this purge is coming quick, and I need to go get some fucking eggs. Craft some more shit. Let that shit go. But anyway, let's continue.
Okay.
Do you want to jump in?
Yeah. So then,
just to TPP. Yeah. You asked me a couple other questions. I
think this is actually. I mean, if you're cool with it, I think this is useful, and we can definitely I've got till a little after 6. We'll get to TPP, but I think this might be this. I think that this could. I mean, because honestly, like, I'm not. Look, like, we can debate and argue, and it's fun and it's great and whatever. And I've seen you. There's been some stuff that you've said about Ben Burgess I've disagreed with. There's been some tweets I don't like, whatever. But I don't like. I'm not on fucking Israeli TV debating some like Trump troglodyte. Like,
sure.
I don't think it's. You know what I mean? Like, it's
depending
great
on who
to
you
disagree.
ask. Yeah, I understand.
I don't think so. So I think it's better to clarify and make things more effective. And I think even on the healthcare one, that seems like maybe we've moved the ball a little bit.
Yeah, what you just said is exactly the point that I've been echoing. That people like Delaney, regardless of whether you think the attacks are baseless or are fear mongering. I mean, another fear monger were death panels, and that was a huge complaint that was levied against the the ACA, the Obamacare stuff. Like, if you can't handle that in a primary, like, what are you going to do in the general? Like, these are.
So yeah, okay, great. And so you see what Destiny's strength is: the fucking fight. And you know what? I can respect somebody that fucking fights and definitely tries to push their position. Yes, let's fucking have that. Let's have that conversation. Let's have that push. So let's continue.
Absolutely going to be.
No doubt about that. But I think the answer to that would be, though, is that is absolutely a lie.
Sure.
So when you go out and tweet about it and talk about it, you have to say, look, John Delaney is being fundamentally dishonest here. But don't be complacent, because these could be potent talking points. And by the way, this is my 50-50 split. This is where I am like third way or whatever. Because if you, like, I am totally Chapo subreddit when it comes to call John Delaney a liar and be really goddamn clear about that, because he is absolutely being fundamentally dishonest. I think, frankly, because, I mean, look, let's be honest. The guy's worth over $60 million because of his own money he's made in the insurance industry, right? Like, that has to be something to consider. Now, on conversely, if somebody just says, no, all Bernie has to say is just like Medicare for all and it's wonderful, then they're being idiots even in a Marxist sense, because we know that, I mean, cumulatively, the industry might spend like literally hundreds of billions of dollars to do what John Delaney did through every method of communication possible.
Yeah, to reinforce the status quo. Yeah.
Yes. So I think what would be awesome, if that's your position and you were playing that dual role of like, hey guys, like, let's get real here, and at the same time, of course, John Delaney's lying, and of course, I'm going to debunk propaganda. I think.
So, and this is the awesome fucking thing. Like, if you're having that conversation about, what policies are, and you see somebody lying about a policy or being dishonest about a policy, your requirement is to say shit. And I get tired of fucking liberals who, not even liberals, but quote unquote the Democrats that don't want to fight back. Do you know do you know, and for people who don't know politics, may not have known that Omar, Ilhan Omar, had to apologize for saying we should impeach the motherfucking Donald Trump, who is directly in violation of the emoluments clause in the fucking Constitution. He is clearly and directly in violation of the clause. But because she said a bad word, which, adults should have no problem with actually hearing, she said a bad word. And so she has to apologize. No, impeach the motherfucker. He doesn't want to be, and I'm going off on a rant, I know. And he doesn't want to be civil. Why do I have to be civil? We fight we fight the same way, motherfucker. Impeach the motherfucker. And that's why and it goes to the discussion where you love the fact that Destiny challenges people, and I'm not gonna be one of those people that says, well, because you challenge my beliefs, then there is a fucking problem. But he quite literally challenges people to challenge people. That's his whole stick, and that's where he strives and thrives in. So, am I gonna be mad at him for doing that? No. But that doesn't mean that I have to. I'm not gonna condemn the guy. I condemn him for his, and not condemn is a strong word, but I challenge him because of his fucking views, not because he disagrees with one guy. He's part team leftist. No, motherfucker is not part team leftist. And let's get back in time for this fucking purge. Ooh, exiles. Let's see. Okay, what can I put at that? Okay, no. Let's see what these exiles are, because I'm about to push the shit out of them. Let's go.
I think that would be super awesome and effective. And if somebody complained to you about that, I would be the first to have your back. With regards to TPP, though, I just want to hybrid it with one other thing.
Sure.
You're not actually saying that, okay, there's a small amount of things in the world, right? I would say, okay, if somebody's running a nuclear reactor or something, literally in the plant, although actually this is a bad example because I just watched Chernobyl. Sure. But I'm not going to go in the coach's box for, Venus Williams or Rafael Nadal and be like, I got this, right? There are certain functions that are highly technically proficient. There's a very specific role that they play, and it almost is more it isn't obviously, but it's closer to just 2 + 2 = 4. When we're talking about policy and we're talking about something like trade, can we both agree that we can't make decisions like that about something as complicated and multifaceted as trade as just saying a certain school of economists say it's good, so it's good to go, right?
I don't know what you mean by that. If when you say that, if you mean just polling a single institute or getting the opinion of a single economist, I would agree. But if you're taking that farther and you mean all of academia surrounding economy right now is capitalist propaganda and we can't trust any of the empirical evidence.
No, that's. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's now we're getting back into the subreddit.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be really charitable because I know that you're not like this, but this is some of the talking points I get from a lot of people. They're even medium-sized content creators. Will basically come out with all the literature is biased towards capitalism, so of course you think that this thing is good. And it's okay, well I can't really have any conversation then because it's not like I'm doing my own original research or publishing my own papers on this stuff. I kind of have to rely on what's reported. But yeah. So I mean
So there's actually a really interesting two-step with that with trade, right? Because it is actually true, and I think these arguments are very tricky because I can read I have a friend and a guest who works at the Council on Foreign Relations, and he's totally brilliant, and I learn a ton from, right? And when people say you're a fucking Marxist, but you have someone from the CFR on, you're a sellout. That's just moronic and actually missing a lot of valuable education about how institutions actually work. Now, at the same time, there is no question that if you are part of a certain the foreign policy apparatus in DC, and this is not conspiratorial, this is a combination of how people have been trained, what underlying assumptions there are. there are not
These
that many
motherfuckers are really
boundaries.
popping
Like
up in
this
my
is why, as an
face.
example, actually, the Koch brothers, ironically, are founding it. But there's a new multi-million-dollar think tank in.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get this shit taken care of. I need to. These motherfuckers. Where are they at? Where are they at? Come here. Motherfucker, die. You destroyed my motherfucking wall, you bastard. These bastards are fucking everywhere. Oh my god. You. Come here. Come here. Stand here. I want you to kill these bastards. Alright. I want you and oh god. What are you? Okay. You move right here. Cause these bastards really are coming up in my shit. They are fucking my shit up. You bastards. Did they really just do that shit? Oh my god. I need more slaves. They just destroyed half of my shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. They destroyed my shit. Like, man. Oh my god. Oh my god. They destroyed my shit. Hold on. I need that oil. Oh my god. They just came in here and destroyed a lot of my shit. I gotta fix this shit badly. Where are they at? Damn it, they destroying my base. Die, you bastard. I gotta fix my shit again. Damn it. Damn it. Where are they at? God damn it. Come here, you bastard. Fucking turn you into red mist. Red mist. Oh my god. These bastards right here. They destroyed my shit. Oh my god. And that's about to die. Oh my god. How long is the purge? Oh my god, I gotta rebuild my base. Let me see, let me check my settings. I'm sorry guys. This shit, oh god. $30 fucking minutes. Oh my god, where are they at? Come here. Turn your ass into red mist. No, shit. No! My fucking base! I'm gonna put a lot of motherfucking guards everywhere. Fuck this. Level 1s and level 2s. Oh my god. Oh my god. How long have I been doing this? I shouldn't have put it this low. This fucking purge is fucking killing me. Ah. Okay, okay. Alright. This is a real purge. Oh. God damn it. God damn it. I'm so tempted to go in there and change the purge settings. Because I want to finish this fucking video. This is the shit that people that are okay with capitalism wants. Fucking purges. Oh, God. Look at all that fucking death and destruction. Did I really cause all of this shit? Well, they destroyed my motherfucking... Oh, that's the stone sword. Take that shit. Wow, they have really gotten my shit pushed in. Please don't let her die. Where are they at? They're upstairs. Ah! They're fucking upstairs. Ah, I shouldn't make this building this high. Shit. And my statue is gonna fall. Ah. Okay, I have those up there. Nobody's coming this way. Okay, good. Now I can actually go down there and fucking protect my place. I'm sorry, guys. It would be epic for me to review a video and survive a purge, huh?
In DC, specifically to house serious, credible scholars and policymakers, but who have like a serious non-interventionist lane, because that just literally was not promoted as the center of any think tank in DC for decades. And there's a variety of reasons for that, like post-Cold War politics, donors and funding is definitely part of it. So if you go to most economics and business departments, I think what people who maybe they're not always presenting it in the most sophisticated way, but what they're pointing to is like, yes, Milton Friedman, like we were just talking about this last night, like, yes, his chair was endowed and funded by, small multinational corporations. This is a super imperfect analogy, but like, I don't know, I have like a little over 2,500 patrons, right? There are somewhere almost all, I actually have a handful of conservatives, which is interesting, but most of them are progressive to socialist. If I came out and I started doing segments on like, this is why we need to enforce the intellectual property provisions of the TPP, and actually Medicare is going to face a funding cliff in 20 years, they probably won't want to fund that. So there is actually an analogy that isn't really that conspiratorial or complicated, which is like academia and other institutions are funded by people who have self-interest and ideological viewpoints. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't produce research, but and even really valuable research, but that research exists in a context, right? And I recognize, like, I've seen you debate and I've seen you get frustrated when it's all the context, man, starts to become like the move to evade everything, right? Like, I understand that frustration, but at the same time, we do like live in the actual world, and that's just like unavoidable. You know what I mean?
So
like,
I 100%.
Of course, people's campaign donors, of course, people's, like, yes, that shapes policy and institutions. Has that affected modern economics? Yes. I mean, that's why the last thing I'll say, I mean, Alan Greenspan, when he was questioned after the financial collapse in 2008, he said, oh, there was a fundamental error in my worldview. Now, that's fascinating, right? Because that doesn't mean that every single paper he churned out was wrong, technically. It doesn't mean that he got a fraudulent degree from NYU. It means, in his own words, there was a core defect in my ideological viewpoint. So it makes, and when you combine that with the fact that, as an example of trade, there's tons of economists, including highly credentialed ones, who have opposition to these agreements. So we can't even, it's not even as easy as say like the climate science one, where you could say like, look, 99.9% of these people do agree on something generally, right? It's definitely not that like that on most issues.
Yeah, so I have to agree with that everything sits within some greater cultural context, and to pretend that it doesn't, it gives you a horrendously naive analysis of the world. And to draw even more parallels, like for instance, like we had a much different understanding of crime back in the 90s, and that's where a lot of our tough on crime punishment bullshit kind of came from too. And it's not like everybody at that time was lying about crime or hated black people, just the understandings of it and the frames that we were looking through, like the broken window stuff, was just wrong. It just wasn't a good way to accurately assess the situation. Now, if I'm being told this by a particular person, so I said this.
I'm going to actually repair my base. I want to thank everybody for watching. And yeah, I got my base screwed the fuck over. So I want to thank everybody who's watching, and guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you Thursday for the part 2, okay? Peace.